or dialogue from that? Like, why did you do this? Why was this question asked? Because there was very little, if anything, done in the course of that 15 minutes that wasn't for purpose and wasn't intended for something later on. So all of it was there, completely intentional. It might have seemed somewhat free-flowing, and I hope it did. That's the concept. But there was very much structure in an otherwise free-flowing form. So what questions do you guys have?
Well, typically when I do an ER presentation, I try to get them on board with letting me do a group presentation and then meeting one-on-one with the employees.
Right, and I know that that's often, I like to leave that as a backdrop. If I start with one-on-ones, because that's eventually where you want to go, right? You want to do group followed by one-on-one. So why aren't we just assuming that we can get one-on-ones? Why don't we just ask for the one-on-ones right out? Now, I know it might take me a little bit longer, which we're about to do next. That's why I wanted to do this first, because to me, this is the natural progression to then go EE. So it works in my head a little bit better for today. I'm warmed up now, so I feel good. I wasn't 20 minutes ago. But the reason for that, if I can't get one-on-ones, you know, no different than a kid asking for certain things from their parent. Start up here. If you can't get it, you negotiate somewhere in the middle. We never want to start with the group, because then seldom do we get to negotiate from group to one-on-one.
Yeah.
If we either get group or we get nothing, or it goes from group to, well, I'll let you do interest forms, and then we're backpedaling this way. So if we came out the gate assuming that we can get one-on-ones and asking, there was no question there. It was almost an assumption. Everything about that was an assumptive close. But the assumptive close happened as a progression throughout the meeting. If you notice at the very beginning, it was a lot of takeaways. Hey, if you even like what you hear today and you thought it'd be a positive impact, I'll tell you, it's going to cost you absolutely nothing. We're only here to decide if the employees make sense. Somewhere in there, in the video, it'll make more sense than what I just did. But I want to start with one-on-ones, assume I'm going to get one-on-ones. If he backpedals, it's easy for me then to say, well, okay, you know, I can understand you may not want to take that kind of time. What about this? Why don't we set up something where in a time when everybody's together? Now he feels like he's been able to pull back. They're always going to want to pull back in some way and not just give you the moon. So now if we pull back and I settle with group, it's your wheelhouse anyway. So you're fine with it. So that's why I like to start one-on-one. But fair.
Good to know.
Fair question.
Jody, I was going to say, one of the questions that I asked during that fact finding on the employer survey is, do you have regular employee meetings? And if they say yes, I'll ask them how often. Is it a safety meeting situation, so that if I have to fall back on that, I already know that they have those meetings and I can just quickly reference that. Usually it's a pretty simple fit.
And I totally agree. I'm so confident that I'm going to go one-on-ones, like in my head. I don't even think about it. I think it's safe to ask it there, just so you have that information. No different than a lot of the other trial close kind of questions I asked in there. How much are your employees make? What are their ages? You saw how that got embedded later on into the presentation to really personalize it. That would be safe, as long as I felt like when I was asking it, I wasn't somehow inadvertently planting the seed that he thinks that's when I'm going to be doing this education. That would be my only fear. As long as I was doing it somewhere masked within the survey to where it didn't seem like this is where we typically do the presentation, because now he's going to start to gravitate and feel that that's the solution, whereas I want to keep him completely blind to it until I get to the point of educating the employees. But certainly if you find yourself in that bind a lot on regular presentations, you'd be crazy not to put that in there somewhere so that you have a way of overcoming it. You never want to take this presentation, whatever the presentation is, and be so set on it and then constantly having the same objections or problems and not tweaking it and altering it in some way to overcome that problem. Be willing to change, which all of you are, and I commend you for being here today and taking time out of your day to look at something new instead of just saying, well, status quo is fine, we'll just keep doing what we've always done. Maybe there's something else out there, and if you take one thing away from it, then it was worth it. So don't always get so stuck on what we've always done, no more than I am. You know, and when I talk about this ER, I'm still always kind of looking and tweaking. And when we get to the EE, very much I'm not married to that one. I'm a little bit more married to this, but the E is just, that's Jody. That is not a state way, that's not a headquarters, that's just Jody's way of doing things, and take it or leave it for whatever it's worth. If you grab a couple ideas, that's what I always think of EE presentations. You want to see as many people do them as possible, and you'll take a little something from everybody, and collectively you'll make a good EE.
I noticed that you just did the accident. You don't talk about any other programs?
Absolutely, good question. I don't want to talk about the other programs because this decision today is not about product. And the more product I go into, the more this thing starts to switch to product. It was also, today, you saw me, your owner's hat. Let me get back to what's important to you as an owner. The real reason we're here today is to talk about the fourth option, which is you. Everything is about you as an owner. The decision today is the two things I said it was going to be at the beginning. Does anybody remember what they are? And I know for you two, this will be easy. Does AFLAC make sense? Do the employees deserve an opportunity to hear the message? There's no reason we should not be able to walk into a 15-minute employer presentation and be able to get a yes to both of those. And so I talk about it in class a lot. It's like typical speech. Tell them what you're going to tell them what you told them. I told him when I sat down that the purpose of today was, does Aflac make sense to the employees deserve an opportunity to hear the message? Not, do you find value in the product? Would you participate in the product yourself? Do you decide on the 3 or 4 different products and programs in which we're going to bring in? You've had Aflac knowledge now for 7 or 8 minutes. Why am I giving him the opportunity to pick which products make sense for this account? Aflac to you is the Aflac that I present to you. Now, this is true in a 15 or 20 man case. This is not true when we get up to the 75 and 100 man case. We know that. Everything I'm saying at this table and predominantly with this is that under 25 to 30, which is a lot of our market, that's not their forte. If I'm talking to a true HR at a 75, 80 man company, no, they want to spreadsheet it. They want to look at everything. Okay, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the owner of a newspaper company with 14 people that's got 500 other things to do other than this. And the more simple I make this, the better my chances are of getting in. Good question though, but that's why I don't want to talk about product and you see me hit 4 or 5 plans. The plan wasn't even out here. There sure as heck was no, heck, I censored for you. There surely was not any type of brochure brought out. I don't want him believing that there's anything to be left behind. This is what I walked in and this is what I'm going to walk out with the exception of dates and times. That's the other thing I'm going to walk out. So when I have this, he instinctively, what he doesn't think, it's more important what he doesn't think than it is what he thinks about it. What he doesn't think is, oh, this is just informative. Oh, I'm going to get this left behind. Oh, this is just some discovery type meeting and I get to answer next week. None of that entered his mind when I walked in with a book that he knows I'm walking back out with. Now, some people are skilled when they can walk in with a packet and they can walk right back out with it and never leave it. That's okay. Remember that everything I particularly train is gravitated to the lesser of that doesn't have 10 years of experience, that doesn't know how to overcome all those objections. So everything is guided to trying to prevent these objections and trying to prevent obstacles. And so by using something like that, that's that structure, we tend to minimize the decision.
So when you said you needed him to sign something, you talked at the PAA when you were
possibly Friday when I come back. And that's also, that's a personal Jody thing. Some people want to bring out the MO138 right there and get it signed. Okay, I mean, if you feel confident with it and you're comfortable, go ahead. For me, I just could care less about an MO138 as much as I care about dates and time. So if I felt in any way, and this is just, get them signed on the spot, I have no preference except personal. But I ran into that so much with smaller businesses, LA. A lot more of it had to do, I think, with cultural differences or language barriers. So the more simple I can make this process, all I wanted to walk out of here today was with those 2 things, date and time. Date and time is everything. If I get an MO138 but I don't get a date and time, you have nothing. I mean, how many of those? We have hundreds of accounts from a state level that have MO138 signed and never have $1 of business. His excitement level for doing this will never be as high as it is right this second. It will go down exponentially from the moment I walk outside this door. So anything I do right now that could possibly postpone that decision, and a 14-page black and white small print contract that hasn't been filled out and I ask him to sign the back page so I can fill it in later when I get home, is one of those things that can often cause me a little bit of a problem and a hiccup. Or leave that with me and I'll look it over, or let me send that to, no, this is an easy decision. Now when I come back, the anxiety of the decision has gone down. What you also didn't see me do in the course of that entire presentation, did I talk about pre-taxing at all?
Nope.
No, why would I? There's no point in it. Because if I talk about it at the beginning, then it's just an oh, by the way, and it goes along with it. Now, if he had hesitation or hiccups or anything, did I set it up for it? Yeah, I asked him, do your employees pay any part? They pay 50%. So if for some reason I couldn't get him to move forward, I have more reasons to tell him why he needs this program than he has to tell me why he doesn't. I will go back and I will do cafeteria plan. I will go back and I will talk to him about the fact that every year he makes changes to his plans and he's having to increase. He already has a $3,000 deductible. What's it going to have to be next year to keep those premiums the same? I can go back. Another one that I uncovered was he doesn't currently offer dental, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he does not currently offer dental. And I failed to ask the question that I normally would. Is there anybody interested? Has anybody ever brought that up? But you can't do it all every time. So if I'd had that, that's another arrow. All those things. What you didn't hear in the course of that survey and through survey and need is you never heard a solution. Oh, well, we can do that for you. Or we can help you with that. Or well, this is what we'll do. Because every time you do that, one, you remove them from the process of this being about them and their company. I'm here to present the solutions in a very simplistic way. And if I can't get my yes today from that, then I've got more things to go back that we've uncovered, that I've collected, that I can just keep firing off until I walk out of here with dates and time. Or really annoying the crap out of them, one or the other.
The pre-tax thing can be a leverage point.
It's huge.
And then also with the workers' compensation, how we can avoid the fake workers' comp claims. That could be another leverage point.
In certain industries, I think that is strong. All the more reason why leading with Flex and leading with We Save You for Workman's Comp. If the guy's been around since, what, 1890? And they've had 3 workman's comp claims in the last 20 years because they're in the newspaper business, it never happens or something, is that going to be a driving force for them? Probably not. If I'm in a blue-collar warehouse of some sort, probably a driving force. So when people tend to make their presentation so static that it is the same regardless of what company they walk into, that's a challenge. And nobody that's tenured or veteran would ever think of doing that, but a new agent thinks it's got to be like this. So no, if I find myself in that situation, sure, I can come back to it. Same with pre-taxing. If I walked in here talking about saving pre-taxing dollars only to find out that he doesn't have a major medical, and he doesn't cover any of these 14 people with a major medical, how much am I really going to do with pre-taxing? I'm going to save him 7.65 on what I can bet on making from Aflac, what I think I can sell to these 14 people, which is approximately, let's say we do 10 people, $5 grand, $400 is what he's going to save over the course of the year. Did I just tell him why I need one-on-ones with the employees? No. In a small company, you get that access because you build emotion and you build the need. This presentation is riddled with guilt. I love guilt. Guilt is a powerful motivator. You are guilting into the fact that I need that time with the employees and it'll be worth it. So, what else? I love this stuff. Keep it coming. You got enough? I talk fast. I told you I wanted to wake up for this.
I have a question because I've been, sorry, did somebody else raise their hand?
No.
Because I've had a little bit of confusion in terms of the future as far as pre-tax.
Good question.
Are we not going to be able to pre-tax after the beginning of next year?
No, we don't know that yet. As of June.
Or will people have to pay taxes on any benefits that they receive?
No, that has not been determined either.
Okay.
Your real concern right now in the marketplace, one from an Aflac standpoint first, June 1st we are starting to outsource our cafeteria plans. We will no longer have them in-house. So that will be going to a third party as of June 1st.
Will there be a cost attached to that?
We do not know yet if there will be a cost attached to the POP side. There will be a, they've agreed for the first 2 years to have the same cost attached to the full cafeteria plans that we've had for 2 years. Now after 2 years that may go up or may not. From a POP plan side, I've not seen one way or the other. That's why we didn't go public with it at National Training Day, and nor have we from a state perspective gone public with it, because we don't have enough information yet to answer all the questions that we're going to have, and so we're holding back.
But we haven't been charging for cafeteria plans.
No, we haven't ever charged for POP. We do charge for full.
FSAs.
Yeah, FSAs.
Right.
Yeah, so we charge. Yeah,
Right,
they get
I mean,
mad about that now because flexible. Yeah, but yeah, so the FSAs we've always charged.
Right.
The third party has agreed to maintain that
Right.
rate. Speed it up. Okay.
Well, employer presentation.
Yeah. Okay, so
discussion.
done. So speed that up. As far as cafeteria plan, we are not changing that. Nothing should change. They didn't even talk about the POP. I think it's going to stay status quo. As far as your concern going forward from a government standpoint, whether they wipe out cafeteria plans in Section 125 altogether, I think that's a very logical concern. And yes, I wouldn't be surprised if it's gone within 2 years, but that's a Jody opinion.
Okay.
Okay. EE. Would y'all like to switch out my role player? Or
I said one thing, I like the way you said several times how good his plan was, even though $3,000 is not.
I'm like, okay.
No, but I think you don't want to make, especially if a small company, make them feel like they got a bad plan, because they're feeling bad enough already because they know they can't afford it. So you kept reinforcing the fact that you got a great plan, but here's something else to go along with it. And I think that was.
even more important than that, I'm great that you noticed it, you're right, but the last thing I want him to think is I've got to go in there and I've got to try to create a platform for my product by shooting down what he does.
Right.
He's not wanting to release to me to a group of people that already bitch and moan all the time about what their coverage is. Bleep that. But they're always complaining about it, and then they turn me loose so I can go and rip more holes in it so that I can create value for my product. In the course of the presentation, I did nothing but praise what he already has and say how we don't change it so that he doesn't fear that. I'm trying to make sure that we don't go down that road. So, but very good observation.
Can we
you know
get
it.
your questionnaire? Can we get
You're welcome to it.